Welcome back to Freedom and Whiskey. This is Whiskey Wednesday, and you'll notice that we are in a brand new location today. We are out with our good friend and our honored guest, Tres Waugh. We're out here at his ranch right now in Bushy Mountain, and we're going to film this episode out here on the obstacle course today. So I actually forgot to bring the bottle with me because there wasn't nowhere to set it, but we are drinking WhistlePig 12 year. That's what's in our fancy solo cups here. But before we get started, I would love for Trey, for you to introduce Bushy Mountain and yourself to everybody.
I'm Tres Waugh. I own and operate Bushy Mountain Horsemanship here in Rapidan, Virginia. Offer training and lessons and clinics and facilities. Also, you want a lesson? Come on out. You just want to use the facilities? We do that too. We've got an awesome obstacle park, round pen, arena. And come on out and ride with us. Love to see you.
Awesome. And that's actually why we're out here today. Trey's hosting a whole bunch of people out here today for an open obstacle day. So we actually brought Titan, one of our horses, out here for some open obstacle fun. And I don't know how much is coming through on the camera, but I have a bit of a black eye brewing right now. And that was from an accident I suffered earlier today where I got bucked off a Titan. So don't worry. I am fine. Nothing's broken but my ego. And I stopped my fall with my face. So the ground is really hard out here, but everything is all right. So with that, I think this is episode number 6. Cheers, sir. Thank you for having us out.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So what I'd like to get into is, we've been using you and Bushy Mountain Horsemanship here for many years. We've been bringing horses out here and getting them trained. And so I would love to hear from you. What are some of the most common issues you run into when, training rescue horses?
All right. So the overwhelming one on training a rescue horse. So first of all, we want to thank Freedom and Whiskey for what they do, because that's fabulous. These horses most of the time don't come from the best background, and it's not necessarily their fault. And some of them it is. There's a reason some horses are in that pen. But a lot of the horses are there that don't deserve to be, not because of their fault, but because of the humans just not giving them a shake. And yes, they're harder to deal with than your average horse. Yeah, this horse might be a little more troubled or have not as easy to reach, and the person doesn't really realize that, or realize how much over their head they are when they get these guys. And it's like, wow, it's a lot to do. And it can be a little overwhelming, especially for your first-time horse person. And some of these horses require some handling, and it's strict discipline, fair handling. Be a parent, not a friend. And but that's what's with most of them is, man, they're the reason they're that way is because they've allowed to be that way. You don't have to allow them to be that way. Yeah. Make them behave, make them have respect, make them be a good citizen.
Yeah, no, that's great information. So, playing off of that, when somebody brings you a horse, whether a rescue or otherwise, I know one of the first things you do is an assessment. We've had you do some assessments on some of our rescue horses and some of our personal horses. Can you tell us, I guess, what does that assessment process look like? What are you looking for? And then kind of what's a typical plan that you see people put into action as far as training goes with you?
So if I give an assessment, the first thing I'm going to do is watch them walk the horse around. As just watch them lead the horse, lead the horse from here to there. That's going to tell me 95% of everything I need to know right there. Like, where's the horse? Where is the human? And golly, we would all love to say that, we can do this in a day and we can do that in a day. But I mean, it just never, it doesn't work that way. It's like however long it takes. But but the assessment is just like, you know, see where they are, and it's you know, can you even lead them, or and do you want, you know, 30 days is a minimum, you know, 60 is way better.
Yeah. So, you know, when you're working with rescue horses, and you know, this is something that we see quite often. There's obviously the trainability portion of it, but then there's also the human trust aspect of it. And you know, what are your feelings as far as, you know, gaining the trust of that horse before you start training? Is that something that factors into the way your program works?
I think that makes a huge factor. That's a huge factor. As you know, does this horse trust you to be a fair leader? And most of these horses that you get are going to have these trust issues.
Yeah.
And they're not going to trust you because they just haven't been treated fairly. So yes, that's a huge factor, and just like straight up front, right from the get go, right from it's like, I'm cool, dude.
Yeah.
But you know, you can't step on my toe.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm gonna be so fair to you. I'm gonna be super fair.
Yeah.
And a lot of these horses just didn't have that. And some of it was because they just weren't fair, and some of it was because they just didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. And you know, the other aspect of this with horse training, and I think this is one thing I would love for you to really talk about here, because I think this is really important. Horse training is, you know, I don't know if you would say it's 50% the horse and 50% the rider, or if you would skew those percentages, but you know, the owner, the rider, the human in the equation, I think is every bit as important as what you're doing with the horse itself. Because once this horse leaves your property and your care, they have to pick up where you left off. And I know, you know, you've always worked with us in the beginning and everything, with every horse we bring out here, with giving us, you know, the tips and the techniques and things that we should be doing. Could you talk a little bit about the people aspect of this? Because I think that's probably as important as what you're doing with the animal.
Absolutely, it's just as important as anything else, because you know, if you not just me, but anyone, trainer, whoever,
Sure.
and you know, you give them the horse for however long, and at the end of that however long, that horse is going great for me or whoever it was.
Yeah.
But you haven't done anything with it yet. Nah, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I'm really fortunate right now that I've got some horses in that the couple is you know, they're coming out like all the time because they want to learn, and it's great to see people like that.
Excellent.
But you cannot expect to dump your horse off and then come back and pick him up 30, 60 days later, and you see him go for me, you, whoever it is, and man, they're going great, and then but you've spent zero time with it. Man, this is not fairy dust. This isn't the force. I mean, this is something that needs to be maintained.
Yes.
And yeah, just because me or anybody else can get them to do this doesn't mean you can.
Right.
So you've got to put the time in.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, we see this all the time with, we used to rescue dogs, and we would see it with the dogs. We would train them and get them to a good spot, and they'd go off. If these were foster dogs, and they would, you know, come back to us a year later for dog sitting, and the owners have completely let it go. They never worked with them another day, and the dogs are rotten and spoiled again. And you know, this is I think that same thing, just on a bigger level, because these animals are dangerous. The animals are very dangerous, and you know, an untrained horse with an inexperienced handler that's not willing to put that work and that time in, that can be devastating consequence.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's pretty much like not just horses or dogs, but yeah, pretty much everything.
Exactly. So if there's you know, one piece of parting wisdom you could give our audience when it comes to training, and you know, maybe in the realm of rescue horses or whatever, just something you would leave us with, what would you have?
4 things. Number 1, be realistic. Where are you? What can you do? And no, this isn't the Disney spirit thing. You know, these are horses. They can hurt you. So realistically, what can you do? 2, 3, and 4. Patience, patience, patience. It ain't gonna happen overnight, man. You gotta just work with it.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our episode for today. And we really appreciate you having us out here today. This was an amazing day, absolutely beautiful outside. Spent it with great people, great friends. And you guys, if you haven't done so already, smash that subscribe button, like, comment, please leave some feedback. We love all your support. And until next time, stay cool out there.